This is just absurd. So, Madden San Miguel, yeah, he was named after the video game. Also known as Baby Grunk. He's 8 years old, and he's already committed to Oregon. He's like the #1 ranked second grader in the country.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Colts quarterback Carson Wentz, Pro Bowl center Ryan Kelly, and wide receiver Zach Pascal have been placed on the reserve COVID list the team announced on Monday. The three players were placed on the COVID-19 list after coming in close contact with a Colts staff member who tested positive, a source told ESPN, Fox News, and 2 other outlets. The players can return in 5 days if they continue to have negative tests and remain asymptomatic. When asked during training camp whether he was vaccinated, Carson Wentz said, quote, "That's a personal decision," unquote. The Indianapolis Colts have had one of the lowest percentages of vaccinated players in the National Football League. It's something that has irked owner Jim Irsay before the start of training camp. Quote, "You get vaccinated, it's the best choice. All choices have risks. There's no question, and you respect the personal choice that people have out there for their health, but it just makes the most sense. I don't think you can take this topic to Harvard and Yale, to the debate club, and whoever got the side of arguing that vaccination is the most intelligent and logical thing to do at this point. I don't think you could argue against that. There's always a risk in everything in life, but getting vaccinated is the right thing to do," unquote. Second-year quarterback Jacob Eason will handle the first-team snaps with Brett Hundley as the backup until Wentz returns. The Indianapolis Colts season begins Sunday, September 12th. We got a full slate of baseball tonight, and it gets rolling. 6:40 Eastern, games of note, the Cardinals and Reds, Mikolas versus Sonny Gray. Red Sox and Rays on ESPN Plus at 7:10 Eastern, and the Cubs and Twins, who cares? That's at 8:10. At 9:38 Eastern, you got the Yankees at the Angels, James Taillon versus Shohei Ohtani. And at 10:10 Eastern, Charlie Morton and Walker Buehler are head-to-head as Atlanta invades Los Angeles. The Phillies and Nationals are at 7:05, Matt Moore versus Patrick Corbin. And the Marlins and Mets will finish their suspended game, one that caused a lot of controversy several weeks ago when starting pitcher Marcus Stroman complained about the game even beginning. That game will be played at 1:10 Eastern, and then the second game of the doubleheader will be played at 7:10 Eastern. Both games in New York. Trevor Williams is expected to take the mound in the night game. A's are at the Tigers at 7:10, Irvin versus Skubal. Rockies and Rangers at 8:05, Indians and Royals at 8:10, and the Pirates are at the White Sox. Lucas Giolito on the mound. He'll face former Atlanta Brave Bryce Wilson. And at 9:40, the Padres are at the Diamondbacks. Snell tries to get the Padres off the schneid versus Zach Gallen. And at 9:45, Brandon Woodruff and the Milwaukee Brewers go head-to-head with the San Francisco Giants and Alex Wood. That game can be seen on FS1. And at 10:10, your nightcap. Lance McCullers and Yusel Kikuchi, Astros, Mariners ends your evening. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball. But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Good morning.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
CBS Sports
Radio Station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Oh, no, no.
What would you do if I randomly got into your passenger seat?
Probably give you a napkin, because there's about an 85% chance that you just sat on a cheeseburger. 85, 90. It's pretty likely.
Armchair.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Jim Irsay's wrong. I won't take personal advice from Jim Irsay till he starts leading by example.
Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Justin, I always thought Jim Irsay was your example, according to those pictures. I know he's going to be my example this coming weekend in Nashville.
Well, no, he's not, because we're all smart enough. I'll come pick you up or we'll get you an Uber. That's what I mean. Yeah.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
You said you wanted to know how to get to Capone. You really want to get him. You see what I'm saying? What are you prepared to do? Everything within the law. And then what are you prepared to do? If you open the ball, one of you is dead. I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him. Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. With a groove on his head.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
I'm really agitated and pissed off and wanting to fight after that intro. I don't know. Ursa got me fired up. He paid my Cheerios. I mean, I just call it what it is.
He's right, but he's not.
Well, he's not completely right, and that's the part that heats me up is that you're only taking half of the advice. You're completely diminishing all of these scientific studies that have shown that natural immunity carries far more reinfection protection than that. So, I mean, you can't have half the story, and it's just another business forcing their mandate and
all right.
doing dirty work.
Let's get off the high tower. But the point, what I found funny about the whole thing was he's the one giving the advice.
I mean, that makes it funny too.
I'm like, dude, no one can take you serious, man. Like,
they told him don't drink and drive right when he got done too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, nobody can take you seriously. And not that, we haven't all done that, but the fact that he has relapsed several times. I mean, so it just, I don't know. I felt like it was strange that he, in the wording that he used to make his point was kind of an empty, it was really, really dopey. But anyways, we'll move on from that. Woke up this morning and see that the Atlanta Braves lost to the Dodgers. I watched the recap this morning. I'm not staying up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to watch that, especially when I kind of know what the ending's going to be. I went to bed and it was already 5-0. I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to put this on in the background while I sleep, man. I was like, that's just going to make me mad. Phillies won, Mets won, so the division got a little tighter. The Rays, they take care of the Red Sox, and the Yankees also lose out west, so they have a much bigger lead in the AL East. Those are the two divisions we realistically talk about, but the wild card is still pretty interesting. The Oakland A's are 2 games behind Boston for the final slot, and the Reds, because they lost and the Padres finally found a way to win a game, they are just a half game. As bad as the Padres have played, that is a loaded roster, and they're still only a half game out of first place. What is your gut feeling with the National League? Wild card? Because I've been saying for a while, I think it's going to be the Reds. But you look at the roster head to head, that Padres roster is loaded, but they've got a much more difficult road. What say you?
Deep down inside, I'm pulling for the Padres. On paper, it looks like the Padres should be there, but I agree with you. I think that the Reds hold on, and probably they're just playing better baseball. And San Diego just is inconsistent. That's the problem. It's not consistent night in and night out. You're not getting the same performance top to bottom. You're not getting the same offense. You're not getting the same pitching. And there's just it has been a roller coaster, and it's unpredictable. And Cincinnati has been more consistent. I mean, you look at the last 10, they're splitting 5-5 versus 3-7. That's the Reds and Padres, respectfully. So, I mean, and there's your consistency. You can't have 7-game losing streaks going into September. It has to stop.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's dumbfounding that San Diego has fallen and played so poorly, because even with their injuries, and I don't want to hear about injuries. If you're a Braves fan, I just shut up about injuries when you start boo-hooing about injuries. I mean, I get this from Yankee fans all the time. You know how difficult it's been to. We don't have the best player on the planet right now. Okay, we don't have him. We don't have what was supposed to be our big stick in Ozuna, and we haven't had him essentially all year. What did he play, like 6 weeks before he broke his hand, and then he broke the law?
Or debatably could be your ace with Soroka being out. I mean, it depends on how you look at the rotation, but he's not your ace. He's your 1B.
He's definitely right there. I mean, he's up there. Fried's pitched phenomenally past couple of months, but Soroka, Fried, Morton, they're interchangeable in my book. And I'll be honest with you, that's why the Braves are so good. Ian Anderson, when he's on point, he's right there too. So that's the luxury the Braves have, is they have an embarrassment of riches in the starting rotation. But I just don't want to hear about injuries, man. I mean, we have just been decimated by them. And hats off to Anthopoulos for the trades that he made to turn this around. Now we got Rosario back on Sunday. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about that yesterday. Snickers talking about post games about how difficult it's going to be to find everyone at bats. Can you imagine? Before, he was trying to figure out how he was going to get guys on base. Now he's trying to figure out how to get guys at bats. You've got Rosario, Peterson, Soler, and Duvall all on that outfield that you're trying to get at bats. And, oh, by the way, they've got a couple of decent little, pieces as well with, Heredia and Almonte. And, of course, you're going to get the roster expansion tomorrow. So about a month ago, you and I were worried that they might be calling us for roster expansion. Now they're loaded, but the question is still the bullpen. And when they do get the leads, can they? A 1-run lead going to the ninth just does not feel safe at all. It's almost like you have to have a 3-run lead, because Will Smith's going to give up at least one.
And you probably need to be at home so you get last at bat.
Right. Exactly. So, the whole thing is a mess on that standpoint. I still think the Braves are going to outlast the Phillies, but the Phillies are going to rack up a lot of W's.
I know we have to agree, but this is the only thing that gripes me with that. And I just want to know, just true fan, just put your Braves cap on and goggles for a minute. We complain all the time that Anthopoulos never trades his pieces and brings us in the trades that we need. He just holds them and stockpile them. Well, when you see a season like this unfold, Are you willing to jump off that tower? Are you fine with him now? Because I think it saved us. I got to eat some crow.
Yes and no. I loved what he did. Absolutely loved. Even before I saw the results, I knew what Solera was. First of all, can we not agree that he should have signed Adam Duvall to begin with?
Amen.
It was like $3-4 million comparatively to other salaries, and the guy was a big cog in that engine. And I think he definitely gets re-signed if there's a DH. By the way, I think they definitely do that. But the other thing that I'll say is this: I would have liked to have seen him a little more aggressive on a closer, because I think he's fooling himself thinking Will Smith is his closer just because you screwed up. You paid him way too much money. And I'm not saying they could have gotten Kimbrel because he's expensive, but there were other relievers out there that you could have brought in other than just Rich Rod, who I like Rich Rod, but the problem is I keep seeing Braves Country talking about wanting to make him a closer. The problem with him is he has a very high percentage hit rate, which means for layman's terms, for baseball fans that are not like, what it means is the offense is going to put the ball in play, and that puts a lot of pressure on the defense to hopefully be in the right place at the right time. So you don't really want him in that final inning as your closer, realistically. If I'm Snicker, I'm employing a bullpen by committee. I'm not making Will Smith my closer anymore. I'm going to tell him, look, man, if we've got a situation where there's 2 lefties coming up, yeah, you're my guy. But if there's 2 righties coming up, I might have to seriously think about hope and pray with Rich Rod or hope and pray with Luke Jackson. Because if it's righties, I don't know if I want you out there, because I keep seeing you frisbee that slider in, and it's an automatic home run. And I know that's crazy, but Luke Jackson's been our best back into the bullpen guy. That just tells you how bad the bullpen's been. But
I was waiting for you to come full circle, buddy. I thought you were going to just give unchastised praise to Mr. Luke Jackson. And I was like, I'm not going outside. It's storming.
Actually, I've been hanging out with Ursay this morning. This is what they used to call remember in high school, they used to call it jungle juice. And then we would just put a little vodka in there. Did everyone not go to the same high school I went to? Or have the same high school experience?
Yeah, and it was untraceable at some point.
Man, there was a lot of vodkas in our lockers. I just remember that. There were between that and having them in our.
Where'd you go to high school? Frugal McDougal?
Might as well have been McGavick. And anyone who's even aware of that, like.
Oh, I'm aware.
Anyone, for people who don't know what McGavick High School is in Nashville, we'll just say it's rough.
My dad went to McGavick. I'll give you that little nugget there, so I can relate with your stories.
I wonder,
or he can. I can.
I wonder if it was as questionable as it was when I got there, because they built it. They built it in a decent little neighborhood. The problem is when they did the busing system and everything, it became the largest high school in Tennessee at the time. I don't know if it's still the case, but you had 4,500 people busting from all parts of the cities, and it was on. It was just on, man. It was anyone. If you've seen the movie Lean on Me, that's the closest thing I can explain it. Because I came from a relatively small high school in Jacksonville. That was kind of a rough country kind of high school, and I thought we had fights there. And then I go walking, and I was like, Are they filming a movie? What the hell's going on here, man? Teachers are getting pummeled. It was nuts. But anyways, you had to get vodka to get through it, man. Let's go ahead and get into our college football predictions, because this is one of my favorite days of the year. We'll do the NFL predictions, y'all, when I come back into town. So I'm going to be out Thursday, Friday, Monday's obviously Labor Day, and Tuesday. The hope is that, assuming everything goes right with the flight, the show will be back on Wednesday. Justin will give us his NFL predictions on that Friday going into the season, and we'll do them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. So today it's college football predictions, and I'm interested to see where you go with a couple of the conferences. But let's go ahead and start in your wheelhouse with the Southeastern Conference. What say you in the mighty SEC?
I mean, it is what it is. We just doing winners or championship and winners, or what do you think?
I probably should have been more clear. Ranking all the conferences 1 through 7. No, I'm joking. I went conference division and then who's going to win the conference championship. But
Alabama, Florida, and Alabama.
You got Alabama and Florida, and took Alabama to where's my card? There it is. All right, I went Georgia and Bama, and I'll circle back to my champion in a second, and there's a reason why. But anyways, what did you do with the Big Ten?
Man, it's hard not to take Ohio State. So I'll go Ohio State, and I'll lean Wisconsin.
I think that's
I'll go Wisconsin. I'll go Wisconsin, and obviously Ohio State. I would love to throw Indiana in there, but I got to see the upset before I can actually ever pull the trigger and put them up there preseason. So
I am going with Indiana.
I wish I could do it.
I'm probably going to look like a fool, but I'm going with Indiana because they get their quarterback back. They get, that defense, I'm impressed with what Indiana has.
I'm actually excited for Indiana Big Ten football this year.
But just because they win the Big Ten doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to put them in my playoffs, because they might absorb some losses. I don't think this is going to be an unbeatable Ohio State team like we've seen in years past. So I've got them. I've got Indiana versus Wisconsin. And if you get in that game, I'm just going to bank on the fact that Indiana's offense is a little better than Wisconsin's. And I think Indiana's probably going to win the Big Ten. Wisconsin, I just think you almost have to put Wisconsin in there every year like you do Bama, don't you? It's just like, until someone starts showing me that they're going to threaten them in that.
Hopefully somebody in the ACC or the Pac-12 with this new alliance can look at them and they're able to straighten this stuff up.
Can we count those as division losses? if they ACC, where are you going?
Man, it's tough.
Brian is listening.
I know. I'm gonna lean Clemson. You got to knock the king off before you can get the throne, and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't see Hassey being able to do it this year, so I'm gonna lean that way.
Who do you have them beating in the conference championship game, or do you have that in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, that's fair. The favorites over there are going to be Miami and North Carolina.
I mean, that's where I'm at, and it comes down to that matchup we talked about, and I believe it was in October.
So that's why
I'm going to lean. Obviously, sorry, Brian, but I got a little Tar Heel blue in me, and I'm going to go with Carolina.
I've got
Clemson. I got Clemson winning it.
I've got Carolina upsetting Clemson in the ACC championship game. I just figured there's going to be a year when you lose this many people, when you constantly lose 37 people to the NFL draft. Eventually, it's got to have its toll. It did. Look, even those monster years that Florida State had from the late 80s into the early 2000s, man, there were still years where you're like, I don't know, man, this ain't the team and you go, well, we still finished top 5. We're still pretty darn good, but we're not quite good enough to get there. I just feel like that's going to be this Clemson team. I know Ugalele is going to be a household name by October, and everyone's going to love what he's doing. But, man, I think Sam Howell, and it's one of the reasons why Florida State fans are so pissy about it, but Sam Howell was originally supposed to come to Florida State, and then when Willie Taggart came, he goes, nah, I'm good. And he goes, what do you mean you're not going to mail me a playbook? And Sam Howell went to Carolina, and I think Carolina's can do some big things. And so I'm not one of the Florida State fans who held it against him. I was like, look, man, you're a kid. You get to go where you want to go. Go do you. And if you go to Gainesville, I ain't gonna pull for you, but I'm not gonna hate you the rest of your life, Tebow. I just hated you for those 4 years. But with Sam Howell, I'm like, man, he wanted to go somewhere where he could succeed. I think I've got him as one of my main favorite for the Heisman Trophy. I might be drinking too much blue Kool-Aid, but that's where I'm at. Where do you got the Big 12? Now, the Big 12, remember, y'all, does not have divisions. It's just the top 2 teams in the conference will play. So you're going to get a rematch regardless.
Well, I mean, I've got to put Oklahoma up there as one of them. My question will be then, can Steve Sarkisian come in and be that second one in his first year? Or do I lean I'm probably going Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State? Not sure what we filled after losing Chuba Howard, but I'm leaning Sooners Longhorns.
By the way, not Oklahoma. Texas plays Louisiana this week. And for people who might be sleeping on that, they're number 23 in the country.
Yeah.
And Texas just named their starting quarterback yesterday. Now, a lot of people thought it might be the young kid, and they said they're both going to play. I'm like, ooh, they're both going to play. We're going to have one of these shuttle all. Oh, man, here we go. Sarkisian's already hanging out with Irsay.
No, that's Steve Sarkisian. I'm getting them confused. Which is it?
I'm pretty sure they're the same dude. I've never seen them in the same room together. I've got Iowa State upsetting Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. You're
going upsets across the board.
I am, man. I go chalk so many years. I was like, I'm just so burned out on watching Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then it's either Oklahoma or some random other team that has no shot in hell, like Notre Dame, and you're like, oh, here we go. Who has the best team? Because it just turns into the Buckeye Tiger Tide Invitational every year. I'm just sick of it. Where do you think the Pac-12 is going to land?
I have no clue, Mac. I'm really throwing darts. I'll go Oregon, Stanford off pedigree and what I've seen in the past, but I don't have a rhyme or reason.
Okay. So I've done some deep dives on them, and I'm really impressed with what Oregon's going to do. By the way, y'all, they've got a big game next weekend. It's got nothing to do with the conference. Oregon travels to Ohio State. Woo, that's going to be fun. I think it's a night game. No, you know what? I think they're actually playing that in the morning. It's really weird. I thought it was strange. I think they're playing that at like noon. It's really weird. But Southern Cal's got to be the favorite down in the South. They just have to be. They've got too much talent. And if they don't, with all the talent that they have, Helton's going to be looking for a new job by the end of the season. Hell, Helton will be fired by mid-October if USC isn't. I'm not saying they got to be undefeated, but they got to be running away with the Pac-12 South. I'm going to take Oregon to win that conference. They're loaded and they've got a lot. And I think there's a team that's going to go under everyone's radar because no one watches Pac-12 football, but they are a very good football team. So who do you have in your top 4 or the college football playoff?
And it's pretty much chalk. It's not even worth throwing out there. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson. So let's talk about yours because mine sucks.
Okay.
Nobody wants to watch that, but it's just where it is. But I like your hypotheticals. I mean, Indiana is definitely a Big Ten school that I would like, and I think can be there. I just didn't have the courage to say it. I like the Carolina or the Miami pick, but I like Carolina leaning there and upsetting Clemson. And I'm assuming you're going Georgia since you're going to loop back around to the SEC, and I still don't know your division champion. I have a hard time knocking Alabama out of that one, so I would leave Alabama in, and then you can have your pick of who gets in, either Oregon or probably Oklahoma would be the 4th spot if I'm basing that off of our numbers.
So I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs to win the SEC. If it's not this year, when is it ever going to happen? That's just the way I look at it.
When Nick Saban retires.
If it doesn't happen this year, I'm done picking the Georgia Bulldogs. I will never pick them again if they do not win the SEC this year because JT Daniels appears to be the quarterback. They are going to have a very tough test in the first game of the season against Clemson. They don't have to win that, right? I think they could even possibly lose one SEC game along with that one and still get in the SEC into the playoffs if it's Bama that they beat in the SEC title game. So I'm going Georgia to get in. I'm going Iowa State to get in. I'm putting the Oregon Ducks in the playoffs, and I'm going to slide the North Carolina Tar Heels in there. So I'm going as opposed to Blue Bloods.
You just folded ESPN.
Instead of Blue Bloods, I went New Bloods because in the one team being left out of the Power 5, I think Indiana is going to win the Big Ten, But my concern is with their schedule, they're going to have too many losses, and it's going to put them out of the playoffs. It'll be the first time we won't have a Big Ten champion in the college football playoffs.
Well,
So,
I mean, it'll just mean not an early exit.
So with that, I'm assuming Georgia's going to play North Carolina and Iowa State's going to play Oregon. And I've got, who do you have winning it all?
I'm just going off your bracket because mine's horrible. I'm going with Carolina beating Iowa State. I like that one.
I am going to assume Georgia is going to get there. That if Georgia plays North Carolina, they're going to have the dogs to be able to outlast North Carolina's offense. Of course, it's impossible to predict who's going to play each other. But and then Iowa State and Oregon, I got to put Oregon over Iowa State. And I've got the Georgia Bulldogs beating the Oregon Ducks for the national championship this year. I just feel like that.
Did you get in a fight with a Gator fan this morning or something?
No, and dude, I'm not a Georgia fan.
I know, but I'm trying to understand this. Like, I know you took Mark Richt out of Georgia, but can you take the? I said that backwards.
Well, I'll put it this way. I've been watching Georgia climb for the last few years, and I've always felt like, I was like, man, there's something about them. I don't believe in them. JT Daniels impressed me last year, and I know they fell short, but this Georgia team should be really good. And I don't think Florida is. I don't think Florida's going to be able to hang with Georgia. Georgia's going to be able to name their score against Florida, and Florida's going to have a more difficult time to score against Georgia because Trask is gone, Pitts is gone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So that's why I'm going with that. So if they can get to the SEC championship game, I'm going Alabama, but I'm not convinced it's Alabama. I was this close putting Texas A&M in there. Because there's got to be a year where these guys just fall off the mountain. Now, it won't take long for them to get back up there because they're loaded. But, Georgia, if you go back 6 years, the last 6 years, Georgia has the most consistent, highly rated recruiting class in the country. Eventually, that's got to pay dividends. It's got to. So that's why I'm going with Georgia. Plus, I didn't – what I wanted to put – Justin, I wanted to put North Carolina versus Iowa State, and I wanted to say North Carolina is going to be your national champion because I think that'd be a lot of fun. But that's you're saying that in 3 years, Mac Brown's going to go from a team that is just trash to national champion. I mean, it's crazy enough that I got him beating Clemson in the ACC title game.
He'll be back at Texas next year.
What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Hey, for all intents and purposes, it's football time in Tennessee. I won't see you guys again before Thursday night's game. We're all headed on vacation. Safe travels. Look forward to seeing all the armchair quarterbacks up here this weekend. Be safe and don't be like Ursay. Call a ride or call me. I'll come get you.
Yeah, hopefully we see you on Saturday, but definitely looking forward to the draft on Sunday because that should be an absolute riot. And
all puns intended.
God, someone might have to record it just so we can remember who did I draft in the 14th round.
One of us is going to stay sober and dominate the others. Who is that?
I am planning on entering the players as we go because you can do that. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be sober doing it. So there might be come a point where I'm going to hand the controls off to somebody.
Not it. See you.
All right, brother. Later.
Be safe.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here to CBS Sports Radio.
You come at the king, you best not miss.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern, Sundays, all NFL season long.
I might audible. If I audible, I'll use Omaha! Omaha! Red Polly! Blue Poncho! Dilly! Rambo! Give me Kershaw here, Kershaw!
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Chop, Japan! Richmond, New York! Richmond, Florida! Cali, Buffalo! Check! Hey, Short Ox! Ludo Raiders! Omaha! Time out!
And then a lot of states ended up having gay marriage and common law marriage, which I think is very confusing because of what happens if you just end up with like two loser dudes sharing the same crappy apartment for a couple years. It's been known to happen. Both working part-time at the pizza place, hanging out every weekend. A few years goes by, boom, they're married. See them at a party, they're newlyweds. I didn't know Tony and Jim were gay. They're married now? When did they fall in love? They didn't. They just never got full-time jobs.
Take me out to the ball game.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Take me out to the ball game.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by The Best Things in Life, which are still free with minimum purchase at participating dealers.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay. Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. As we are, we're just a few days away from college football season is officially kicking off. We're almost a month away from college football kicking off in Gainesville. But the rest of the college football world, we're men. We play real teams on the first weekend. We don't go out and find Florida FAU week 1, USF in week 2. Bobby, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing much better than I should be, considering all that's going on. I'm pretty damn excited about this college football season. I'm not delusional thinking Florida State's going to win the national championship or anything, but I'm excited to see if Florida State looks better this year, if they can make a bowl game and maybe even do a little better than that in what I'm considering Norvell's actual first year, that because last year was it was a disaster of a season for any first year coach. And then the first weekend's got a lot. Look, I was listening to a show that comes out of New York yesterday, or the broadcaster comes out of New York. It's actually a national show. And this just tells you the mindset of the Southern sports fan and the mindset of the Northern sports fan. He and most of his callers that were calling in didn't sound that excited about college football because it was too early in the calendar. And that, like, well, it's still Labor Day weekend. I'm not going to lock myself in front of a television. I'm going to enjoy the outdoors. And if I do watch, I'm going to pay attention to, pennant chase baseball etc. And then most of his callers were calling in and saying, well, there's one game that I want to watch. I want to watch this game because of this reason, but no, I'm not going to watch a lot of games. I feel like most people in the South are going to be locked in to the televisions all weekend long.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, it starts on Thursday. Ohio State's going to be at Minnesota. That's not
actually. I think there's a game tomorrow. Actually, it's not a very important game. It's UAB Jacksonville State, but it's football. So,
come on.
Yeah, it's not a real. Well, I guess it is a real game, but
Thursday. Okay, like it doesn't begin tomorrow because ESPN tells you that it's important. Well, you got to come tune in at 7:30 tomorrow night when UAB plays Jacksonville State. Isn't that where? Isn't that where Dion's at? Jacksonville State. So
it was in Jacksonville State. I think it might have been. That might be why they're trying to push it, trying to get people to watch it.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly why they're trying to push it. Because I saw it.
Exactly.
He's in Jacksonville something. I'm pretty sure it's Jacksonville. So, and that is not Jacksonville, Florida. So that it's even less interesting to me. So if I watch that game, it means I've put some hay on it. It means I'm not watching that game. I'm sorry. That's just I might flip over to see how Dion's doing and watching him coach. It'd be kind of cool and kind of fun. But other than that, I don't care who wins the game, and it doesn't matter who wins the game. Thursday is when it actually begins. Ohio State is at Minnesota. That's a huge game because Minnesota, we remember how good they were in 19. They were terrible in 20. There's some belief that they could bounce back this year. It's in Minnesota. That's not a gimme for Ohio State, considering that they're replacing Fields and they're replacing all the other players that they lost in the draft. The Tennessee Volunteers, they play a cupcake, but they do begin on Thursday night. They're home against Bowling Green.
I wouldn't quite say anything is really a cupcake with Tennessee, though.
No, but it should be. If you can't beat Bowling Green by at least 2 or 3 scores, then you've got huge problems in Knoxville. I do think that they're going to have some issues because of, let's be honest, the Tennessee Volunteers were decimated by transfers. And so it's not a gimme, but
it should be. That's for sure.
Anyone who committed to University of Tennessee should be bigger, faster, stronger than anyone that committed to Bowling Green. So if you just decide to run the football 90% of the time, you ought to win the game. Temple and Rutgers is also on Thursday night. If I was at home, if I was going to be in town, I would be watching a lot of this. I don't know how much I'll get to watch because we're landing in Nashville that day, and I'm going to guess we're going to be out to dinner during all this. I'm going to try to pull it up on my phone, going to see if I can get near a television here and there, but I'd be lying if I said, I'm going to be locked in because I won't be able to. But if I was at home, I definitely Ohio State, Minnesota in the Tennessee game, I would definitely be all about it. There's actually quite a few games on Thursday night, but those are the only ones of note. And then when you look at Friday night, there's a huge game. North Carolina is going to be at Virginia Tech. And North Carolina, what was the stat I saw? They have lost.
I know they lost their 2 best receivers, I believe.
They have lost their 6 of their last 7 road openers when in conference. But I don't think that happens on Friday night. I think you're going to see North Carolina take care of Virginia Tech. They better, because I just picked them to make the college football playoff. Yeah.
Do you like Sam Howell that much? Or?
Yeah, I think he's the best quarterback in the country.
It's not a terrible prediction.
And I like him as one of the favorites for the Heisman. The Heisman's always hard to predict because it turns into Radler is going to be there, and it's going to be some random bozo that they pick off the Alabama roster, and then it'll be it's turned into a quarterback award, which is the part I don't like. I don't get as excited about the Heisman anymore because it used to be the most dynamic player in the country. It's now turned into an MVP award, which is not what it's supposed to be. Today's sports writers have totally screwed it up and have dropped the ball. You're supposed to be able to win the Heisman Trophy, even if your team doesn't make it to the national championship. That was the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Barry Sanders won the Heisman. His team sucked at Oklahoma State. Rashawn Salam won the Heisman. Not every single Heisman Trophy winner was out there playing for the national championship, and that changed when they went to the playoff system. Really, when ESPN watered it down. ESPN has turned it into a for a good 10, 15 years. I don't think they talk about it much anymore. For a good 10 to 15 years, they watered it down and tried to make it a talking point on all their shows. And that's when you got it really extremely watered down. I think about when this is a little bit before your watching time, but when Peyton Manning lost to Charles Woodson for the Heisman, there's no way in hell that Charles Woodson should have won the Heisman that year. There's no way. There's no way. But ESPN at the time had a contract with the Big Ten. They did not have a contract with the SEC. And so they pumped him on the College Game Day 24/7. And that's how he ended up winning the Heisman. You ask any Tennessee fan above the age of about 35 plus, they remember that, and they'll tell you Peyton Manning was the best player, that he should have won the Heisman. They gave it to Charles Woodson because it was a novelty that he played both sides of the ball. He was good, but he should not have won the Heisman that year. But anyways, that's the big game on Friday night that I'm looking forward to, is the North Carolina game. And then on Saturday, it really gets rolling. Obviously, that's the big day for college football. You've got Alabama, Miami at 3:30 Eastern, which should be a really good one. Am I wrong? I thought, where's Wisconsin? Okay, yeah, they have it laid out weird. Okay, also at noon Eastern, this is the big game that I want to see: Penn State at Wisconsin at noon Eastern on Fox. So that's the big early game. The big middle of the day game to me is the Alabama Miami game. You've got some other decent games. The Oklahoma Tulane game, by the way, has been moved to Norman, Oklahoma. It was originally canceled because Tulane sits in New Orleans, and they just didn't think that the streets were going to be clear to be able to go to the game. So now it has been moved to Norman, Oklahoma. So they will play that game. Not that anyone's going to watch it, but Oklahoma is on ABC at that time. And then Miami, Bama. You give Miami any chance of winning this?
Absolutely not. Nope.
The line is around 18 points. Would you take Alabama, or did you take Miami in the points?
I'd take Alabama, but it probably won't be much over 18.
I didn't get it organized this week because we got so much stuff going on. But next week we will be making picks against the spread. So get ready for that when we hit on the Dixie Football Nation, which will be with us. And other games that day. Georgia Clemson obviously is the game of the day. That's a 7:30 game. You got any other games other than the Florida game that you're excited to watch that day?
You already mentioned it, the Alabama-Miami game. I don't think it'll be very close. It's something I think most people will tune into just to see, two ranked teams and one of them being the number one team go at it. But yeah, really, I'm going to be locked into the Clemson-Georgia game. I hate doing it, but I got to root for Clemson here, just to boost Florida's shot in the SEC East. I don't think we'll win the division.
That has no bearing on Georgia and Florida in the SEC East.
Does the regular season? I thought that was like a tiebreaker, the regular season record, or like the out of conference record. Okay,
none whatsoever. It doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter if Georgia wins by 100 or loses by 100. It has nothing.
Okay, gotcha.
Do with conference.
Well, I still wouldn't like to see Georgia make it to the playoffs at the end of the day. So I'd rather see Clemson in there, as much as I don't like both.
Tell me you're pulling for Clemson because you hate Georgia. I get it. But if you tell me that you're pulling for them for any other reason, then it doesn't make sense. Because I guarantee.
No, I'm going for Clemson in that game.
I guarantee you Tony's pulling for Clemson. Even though I predicted Georgia to do well this year, which we'll get back to that in 1 second. but I don't know. I really don't like Clemson either. I mean, I just
yeah.
Is there any way they can both lose? I'll tell you a game that people are going to be sleeping on because of all the other big games. And this was my point of the New York show that didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I was like, dude, I came this close to calling in and just saying, can you do us a favor? Can you do me a huge favor? Can you never talk about college football again? Don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is a very good weekend for college football.
Mm-hmm.
A game that's going on at 3:30 Eastern that everybody's sleeping on is number 17 Indiana at number 18 Iowa. That game's enormous.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conference game. Now, granted, they're not in the same division, but it's a conference game. Indiana is one of the favorites in the Big Ten East, and they're going to play on the road in Iowa. And we know Iowa's always a pain in the ass. Even when Iowa's not good, they're not bad. And then the other, obviously, Florida State Notre Dame on Sunday night is a big game for both programs. And let me see what we got here. Who wins the trade? Mike Evans and Eric. This is a fantasy football question. Who wins this trade? Mike Evans and Aaron Jones. AK-41. Mike Evans and AK-41. Sorry, Mike Evans and AK-41 for Aaron Jones, Allen Robinson, and Justin Jefferson. Who are we?
I like Jefferson a lot.
I'm assuming AK-41 is supposed to be Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I'm not with that lingo. So Mike Evans and Kamara for Aaron Jones, Robinson, and Justin Jefferson. Dude, Aaron Jones, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson, that's a landslide.
Yeah.
That's not even close. That's not even close because you're getting a running back in Aaron Jones that is very comparable to Kamara. And then Allen Robinson and Justin Jefferson are both better than Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Both.
Yeah, you're getting your entire receiving core upgraded with that.
He says that I have AK and Evans. Oh, dude, make that trade 1,000 times.
Yeah, go for it.
If someone's that dopey, I would be surprised. I would be absolutely shocked if the commissioner would allow this trade, because I'd be like, dude, this smells like collusion. Is this other guy tanking? We haven't even started the season yet. Is he tanking or is he just a moron? You know, and either way, let's get him out of the league. You know what I mean? It's like, if he's that dumb,
kicked out of the league,
if he's that dumb to trade away Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones, unless I've missed something in the last 5 minutes, like they all were in a plane crash. Mike Evans is trash compared to those two receivers, and AK-41, I guess is what we're calling him now. He's barely better than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones for the last, what was the stat that I threw out? It was a couple of weeks ago that he became the first running back since Jim Brown to rush for as many yards as he has in his first 4 seasons in the league. When you're on the short list on Jim Brown, dude, that's saying something. And we don't know how losing Drew Brees may affect Kamara. I don't really think it will, but you just never know. You know, Aaron Jones is playing in the same offense. You know,
I worry about Kamara a little bit. I do. And I still think he's one of the best fantasy running backs. But Drew Brees, he relied heavily on that check down. And Jameis Winston, he's not really known for being a conservative passer. That's for sure.
No, he's not. But at the same token, because they're going to finally throw passes over 22 yards this year, it's going to open up the running game for Kamara. So you got to look at it that way too. Now, full point PPR league, that might get dicey. I get what you're saying there. But if it's a half point or a standard league, I still like Kamara a lot because he is no longer going to be playing with 2 safeties in the linebacking position. When Drew Brees, the last 3-4 years, you didn't have to worry about him. Yeah, he's checking down because he can't check up. So that's a big time question mark. with all of that. And look, Mike Thomas will be back around midseason. So he should be back before the playoffs is the point, the fantasy playoffs. I just think that if someone is dumb enough, I mean, whoever this is must be a huge Kamara fan. He must be like a Saints fan or went to University of Tennessee, or he's Alvin.
Maybe he's just asking if he should propose a trade. Maybe he's not. Hasn't been offered it yet.
I don't know, man. I don't think so. If
he's been offered it, though, he needs to hit accept.
Dude, I'd be accepting that before someone goes, wait. Was I drinking and trading last night? What the hell was I doing? I'd be get the and I'd the commissioner go, push it through. Oh man, that's a blockbuster though for this early in the season. Even if that's a keeper league, it doesn't make sense because Evans is old as hell, and Justin Jefferson is he says the funny thing is I'm the Kamara fan. Is he a Bucks fan? Is he you know what I mean? Like, is he a Bucks fan? Why is this guy trading for Mike Evans? Because they're restructuring his deal? The hell's that got to do with fantasy football? Let's go ahead and get into the college football previews. By the way, just a programming reminder, starting on the 12th on opening day of football, we're going to be doing the handicappers 10 a.m. to noon every single Sunday morning live. We will answer all of your fantasy football questions. And then if you do want to ask us questions pre-game because I always jot them down, go to our Twitter or our Facebook page and just DM us. And I jot them down throughout the week, and then we answer them on Sunday. And so big list of guys. We also do gambling as well. We do points against the spread, 62% against the spread in the last 6 years, which I think is unheard of. All right, so who do you got winning the SEC?
I'm gonna have Bama winning it. We don't know much about how Bryce Young is gonna be, but Bama they're always typically the top dog in the SEC. I don't see anybody in the West really hanging with them this year. And I think the only team that'll give them a run for their money really is Georgia. I haven't seen enough out of Emory Jones to make me believe that Florida's gonna, be a big shot in the SEC. But I think Alabama will ultimately win it.
Okay, so Bama over Georgia, and in the ACC, what you got?
I got Clemson, and is North Carolina? Are they in the same division or no?
No.
Then I'll probably have North Carolina going up against them in the ACC championship with, of course, Clemson winning it.
Okay.
Is that contrary to what you're saying though? Or
now
you had North Carolina in the championship or in the playoff? No.
Yeah, I've got North Carolina. I can't find my stupid list, but I know who I picked. I have North Carolina beating Clemson in the ACC championship game.
That'd be a fun change of pace.
They're loaded, and it's just at some point, Clemson's not going to get all the luck. And what I mean by luck, I mean guys staying healthy, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, you run into a year with bad luck, and I just think this is the first time in a few years that I think there's a team good enough to beat Clemson. And obviously it wasn't Miami, because Miami got just drilled last year. And unless they are leaps and bounds better this year, they're not good enough to beat Clemson. So that's why I'm going with North Carolina. What do you have in the Big Ten?
It's kind of boring, and I'm going to say Ohio State. I really don't see – there's not much competition with them in the Big Ten. Obviously, there's always the threat of road games in the Big Ten for Ohio State. I mean, they got blown out by Iowa a couple years ago. So road games in the Big Ten are always a risk, I guess. But ultimately, I think Ohio State's the best team there, and they're going to win it.
And who's Ohio State going to beat?
I'll say Wisconsin.
Okay. I've actually got Indiana beating Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship. But I went anti-chocolate. Most years I'm putting 3 of the 4 teams. This year I was just like, I'm just so sick of seeing the same team.
I know.
And they're an over
That's
and over.
why I hate making that prediction, but it's
a safe one. It is definitely.
Yeah.
Brian Cook says North Carolina does not exist to me. Oh, they're going to exist in October to you, because you're gonna.
I think they're gonna be a good team. I do. I think they'll be a good team.
They're gonna exist to you in just like Bama's gonna exist to you on Saturday, because you're gonna go to North Carolina in October, and the Tar Heels are gonna whomp you. Pac-12. Who do you have?
I like Arizona State a little bit this year because of Jaden Daniels. I think they could be a good team. They actually started out the year ranked, which is kind of a surprise. That's a pretty weak conference. I'll go ahead. I'll say Arizona State. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. I don't think they'll be an incredible team, but I think they could win the Pac-12.
And who are they beating? Arizona State's in the Southern Division.
So they probably play.
So you
maybe going up. Would they go against Oregon if they made it?
Yeah, Oregon, Washington, all those teams up north.
I'll say Oregon.
Okay. So
I don't think the Pac-12 is not going to have anybody spectacular, but
what I did, because I knew you weren't here. I'm sorry, Big 12. Now the Big 12 is just the top two teams in the conference. Who do you have winning that?
I have Oklahoma, and I actually think Oklahoma. I think this might be the year they make it out of the first round of the playoffs. I don't really like Rattler, but I think he's a great quarterback, and I think they'll win that conference.
Who do you think they're going to play against?
Iowa State.
Okay. So this is what I did. I've got Iowa State, Oregon, Indiana, North Carolina, and Georgia winning their conferences.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Eventually Bama's got to have someone that sucks at quarterback, right? And just this guy just got $1 million put in his pocket. That's the other thing. So I'm like, maybe this guy's really lazy, man. And Georgia Angels comes rolling in there. So who do you have in the college football playoff, and who wins it?
I have Oklahoma for one, not the one seed. I'm just saying that I think they're going to be one of the teams in there. Alabama, of course. Ohio State, and I think Georgia. If they have 2 losses, that'll be tough. I think it'll be. Oh man, I hate making this prediction because we've seen it so many times. But Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Clemson. I think those are the 4 teams.
And you said you think Oklahoma finally gets in there and wins?
Yeah. Well, I think they've been there before a few times, but it seems like they get beat down in the first round.
No, I mean, like, are they your team to win it all?
I'll say they are, yeah.
Okay.
Right now they are, because they have, I believe, the most proven quarterback out of the 4 teams.
And for people that missed it in the first part of the show, I've got Georgia winning the national championship, and it's going to be Georgia, North Carolina, Oregon, and Iowa State. The Big Ten gets left out because I think they're going to be very good this year, and I think they're all going to beat each other up. I think when you get to the Big Ten championship and Indiana wins it with 2 or 3 losses, I just think that they're not going to. They might even be better than some of these teams, but that doesn't mean that they'll let them in the championship. But for once, I actually went I went exact opposite. I was like, you know what? All those teams I really do believe have a chance of winning their conference. But there's no way they all do it. There's no way in hell. But I went ahead and took it anyways. That way, if any of them make the playoffs, go, hey, I had them. Who else did you have? That's not important. It's time to turn back time and get the hell on out of here. As here we go. About to say, man, if my new update on my soundboard is screwed up, I'm going to be pissed. Okay, here we go. By the way, tomorrow we're doing a live fantasy football draft here on the show. A live fantasy football draft here on the show. And why in the hell is he crying? Weird. Some swagoo on ESPN was crying, but I think he was fake acting or something. Be a man. Even though you're an LSU Tiger, pretend like you're a man. All right, but I'm joking, LSU fans. But we're going to do a live draft here on the show tomorrow. Any of the participants can join in on our Zoom call, and I'll have the screen shared up so you can see what we're doing. It's going to be a standard draft, y'all. It's not going to be an auction. That's a nightmare trying to do that and host a show at the same time. But it's going to be a standard draft. I thought I had a bummy pick. I don't know why, because I always do. I just found out yesterday, or I guess I just remembered yesterday. I looked it up. I got the number 2 pick. I was like, wow, I've got the number 2 pick. Yeah. So Steven's got the first pick. I know he's going to take CMC. He'd be an idiot not to take CMC. So my next question is, do I take Cook or do I take Henry or Kamara? And that'll be
I'm all in on Henry. If I had to give you some advice, I'm all in on Henry. But if you want to let him fall to 5, that's fine with me too.
Yeah, I'm not going to take your advice, man. Got a lot more rings than you do, baby. All right, here we go. Oh, by the way,
you got a lot more.
How did you like the auction draft?
I love my team. I was wondering, I was like, how did I get Darrell Henderson for $4 though? I didn't know if he like killed someone before the draft or something, but that seemed pretty.
Well, there just comes. That was a really strange draft because some really strange guys were nominated early. And so you had some guys that went a lot cheaper. You got him for 4. I got Miles Sanders for 3.
Yeah, I saw that. They were wanting you to get him.
I was like,
I was watching him.
Well, what the hell? Yeah, I got schmammered. I got schmammered. I blacked out, woke up the next morning. I was like, let me look at my team and go, it's not as bad as I remember complaining about it, but definitely not my typical team. But I did that, that night I was like, I'm not going to draft my typical team because what the hell, I'm going to have some fun with this. But that team, I'm loaded at the receiver position, but I'm never that bad at the running back position. That's always like the first thing I go and do, whether it's, no matter what the hell version is. Tonight, I've got one. It's a money draft that is a standard. When I say standard, it is like old school, crappy ESPN type of rules, but it's on the NFL fantasy app. And that is like the worst app ever. I don't know if you've played on that thing. It's worse than ESPN. It's that bad. It's light years worse. It's worse than the Sleeper app. It's ridiculous.
Sleeper app. I haven't played a whole season with it. I've done a draft on there for a dynasty.
It's not bad. We're talking about putting together a money draft for this on the Sleeper app for a dynasty team, like a true dynasty team. In other words, like you keep like 10 players.
Yeah, I think Sleeper's great for dynasty, but not much else really.
What I like about it is you can spread out the picks for hours, which is not an option on ESPN or the other one. The one thing I haven't looked at is because I haven't played a season in there with it is what is it like to manage and go through that app every day? Am I going to be constantly going over to Yahoo to find out what the actual news is so that I can go back in and start my on the Sleeper app? But I think we're going to try that. Let me know if you want in on that, but that's going to be probably like a 50-ish buy-in because we want to. But anyways, it's time to turn back time. On this date in 1990, Mariano Rivera is allowed to start a game of a doubleheader in the final day of the season in the Gulf Coast League for the Yankees, allowing him to throw enough innings to qualify for GCL's ERA title. That's why they did it. He was a reliever in the Gulf Coast League, but they let him start. The Sandman responds by hurling 7-inning no-hitter against Bradenton to finish with a 0.17 ERA, a .46 whip, 58 Ks in 52 innings, and he got a $500 bonus to boot. Can you imagine? Well, then again, I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine being a Gulf Coast batter going, what the hell am I, who is this? And even back then, Mario, well, no, he went to that one pitch 3 or 4 years later after that. So birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
All right, we'll go with the dead guy first, the great Frank Robinson, Baseball Hall of Famer. He was the first Black American manager in the major leagues. Passed away in 2019. For some reason, I thought it was last year. I thought we lost him during COVID. It just felt like we lost so many people during COVID. Frank Robinson, one of my all-time favorite players. I never got to see him play, but I always heard great stories about him because he played for Baltimore, which my dad's girlfriend in the 80s, she was a big Baltimore fan. She used to talk about him all the time. And then my grandfather was a big Reds follower. I wouldn't call him a fan, but he's a follower. Also, Claudell Washington passed away last year during the pandemic. I think a lot of people want to miss him. He was a great Atlanta Brave in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, folks that are still with us at last time we checked. Hideo Nomo. You know who that is?
I don't believe I do.
He was the Rookie of the Year in 1994, which was an abomination because he had already played in Japan professionally for several years, came over and won the Rookie of the Year. He stole the Rookie of the Year from the great Chipper Jones. Chipper should have been Rookie of the Year, and that was garbage for a guy to come over and played professionally. But they looked as well. He's rookie in the major leagues. Whatever, dude. He's like 30. Stop it. Also, from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, not too far from your neck of the woods, Jennifer Ozzie is she really 51? She was a basketball player, Olympic gold too in 1996. Played for the Lady Vols. And James Robinson of your Portland Trailblazers. I don't know if you remember him or not. I always called him Headband. He was bald and wore a headband. I never understood that. I'm like, what in the hell what are you holding up? What is your walk-off for the day?
Not tonight, but with the college football season kicking off on Thursday, I want to mention that. I think the Ohio State-Minnesota game might be a little bit closer than people expect. Road games in the Big Ten are never, ever easy. So I think that could be a fun game to watch.
Give me one upset that no one's expecting this weekend.
I think let's see. Let me look through them.
I'll give you one.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State's going to shock the world and beat Notre Dame on Bobby Bowden's remembrance night.
That'd be pretty cool. That's a pretty cool way to celebrate him.
Dadgum legend, baby. He's a dadgum legend. That place is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
And if Notre Dame loses that game, they're all going to be jumping off buildings because like, we lost to sorry ass Florida State, which is a fair comment.
I'd be happy with that.
You got an upset?
Oh, okay. Here, let's see. We look through them.
Just grab one, man. Just grab one. Grab one by the horn. So you know what?
I'll say I hate being biased, but I don't trust Tennessee whatsoever. And I think Bowling Green could absolutely beat them.
That's a fair one. That is a fair one, man. That is a very fair one.
It's easy for me to say because I don't like Tennessee whatsoever, but I do think Bowling Green has a really good shot in that game, much greater than people think.
Bowling Green has played some teams tough, and Tennessee. That's quite the attrition. You didn't just lose all those players; you also are bringing in a new staff. Josh Heupel better not get off his career on a Thursday night when there's nothing else going on in Knoxville and lose that game. That's all I'm saying. You lose to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and you're in Knoxville, Tennessee. Oh,
I'll be happy.
And you've got 9 days till you play another game. Oh, that's a lot of stadium stairs. We'll see y'all tomorrow for the live fantasy football draft. I'm going to come on the air a little early tomorrow morning because I got to share everything. So we'll be rolling probably about 10 minutes before the show. It'll be a little different intro than it normally is. Great job, Bobby. We will see you not next Tuesday. There won't be a show because I'll be out of town. We'll see you the following Tuesday, but we will see you on Dixie Football Nation on Saturday, or
sounds good.
A week from Saturday.
Gotcha. All right. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, y'all.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette.